No need for a fancy intro. Let's get straight into it because we need to talk about Kevin De Bruyne and his place in the pantheon of world football, in the pantheon of the Premier League, up there with the greats of the Premier League, all-time Premier League players, not even just midfielders. You know, the Mount Rushmores of the Premier League. We need to talk about Kevin De Bruyne because he may not be playing right now, but I hope you don't forget how incredible of a player Kevin De Bruyne is, and I need to bring him back into conversations as an agenda. A, because he's an incredible player, and B, because there's nothing else to talk about. There's nothing else to talk about. It's an international break. There's nothing to talk about. So why not just talk about Kevin De Bruyne, eh? Why not? And I'll preface this by saying I'm a Manchester City fan. Yeah, you know, this kind of ruins this whole conversation, but I think we should still have it because most people, unless they're delusional, know that Kevin De Bruyne is destined for the top of the Premier League in terms of all-time players. Everybody knows he's destined for that position, and if you don't think that, you're delusional. I'm sorry. He's up there. He is right up there. But if you talk to almost anybody about Kevin De Bruyne, and in that sort of conversation where we're talking about some of the best Premier League players of all time, they almost always say, let's wait till he retires. But why? Why do we need to wait till Kevin De Bruyne retires? Why do we need to wait till he wins another 3 or 4 Premier Leagues? Let's take that conversation and bring it to the present. Let's bring it right now. Because we need to start having some uncomfortable conversation. Because Kevin De Bruyne right now, as it is, as the player he is right now, and how he's playing, and the accolades he's, developed over the years, we can put him up there right now. You know, this long time debate around the Premier League that's been heard year after year after year, the big three in the midfield, Paul Scholes, Frank Lampard, or Steven Gerrard. Forget that, let's add a fourth name. We need to start talking about Kevin De Bruyne in all of this. Let's not wait till he retires, bring it right now. And I think a lot of not just Premier League, a lot of fans, a lot of people don't like to talk about players in terms of all time or in that sort of sense when they're still playing. And I understand it's really hard to, put a player in history when he's still playing. But I think Kevin De Bruyne absolutely deserves that. For everything that he's done, he should already be in the conversation with the Frank Lampard, a Steven Gerrard, and Paul Scholes. He's already there. And I'll be honest, he's definitely not fourth. I don't care who you throw out. I mean, I obviously didn't watch much of those three because, I'm young. I didn't really have the ability to. So all I really have to go off is YouTube or whatever. And obviously I'll have a bias towards Kevin De Bruyne. He plays for Manchester City, but, there is a certain level of objectivity I will bring. Although I'm, making fun of being a Manchester City fan throughout this whole conversation, I'm still being objective. And truly and honestly, Kevin De Bruyne is in that conversation already. You think about it, he's one of the best creators we've ever seen in the Premier League. A creative technician. He is the creative output of Kevin De Bruyne is the best in the world right now. Forget Lionel Messi. He's in his own tier. He's an alien. We don't compare anybody with Lionel Messi unless your name's Cristiano Ronaldo. Forget that, all right? There's a reason that they're the goats of the, of the footballing world. So forget that. So in terms of the rest of the mere mortals, right now, the creative output and the creator that Kevin De Bruyne is, I don't think anybody touches that or even really comes close to it. The big chances he creates, the assists, the dribbling, the driving. When he drives with the ball, he is as good as anybody. In transition when he's driving with the ball, his vision, the repertoire of passing is absolutely incredible. He pulls off passes that you can't even see. He is that good, and his creative output isn't. He's had multiple, seasons where he's touched 20 Premier League assists. And it's year in and year out, and there's big goals as well dispersed through all of that. His long shots, his weak foot is also there. Kevin De Bruyne is a creative machine. The output that he generates, oh my word, all right? And I'll be honest, the only real reason I'm talking about all of this now is because I've gone through about 2 or 3 months now where we haven't had a Kevin De Bruyne. He's off injured. It's not really 2 or 3 months. It's a couple Premier League games But you really miss it. You're really looking at that side, no matter how good Manchester City are. He is pivotal, he is integral, he is Manchester City through and through. When you look at Manchester City, it's all him, really. Everything is built around him. It's Kevin De Bruyne. And you really do see that missing link, no matter how good Manchester City are, no matter how, the squad depth that they have and the amount of incredible players that they have, you are still looking at that pitch and wondering where Kevin De Bruyne is. And you just miss him. And you miss that amount of creative output. And I know Erling Haaland misses that. He may get the same amount of chances, but the quality of those chances or, the delivery of those chances aren't really up there with a Kevin De Bruyne. And you really do miss that creative output, even in a side as good as Manchester City. He is just that good and that incredible. More respect needs to be put on KDB. Kevin De Bruyne, the best player in the Premier League when he is playing, and the best creative technician and the best creator possibly in world football when he is playing. And the one thing that almost everybody says is that Kevin De Bruyne is a system player. A system player. Let's break that down. A system player. So we're just saying, most people, when they say that, are saying that Kevin De Bruyne doesn't really work anywhere else. If he has players around him that aren't as good or aren't at the levels of a world-class talent, which he has at Manchester City, he isn't as good. And, his strengths don't really come out. And instead, his weaknesses come out. That's what people say when they're talking about Kevin De Bruyne being a system player. Okay, but where is he playing right now? Where the hell is he playing? He is playing at Manchester City. At present day, he is playing at Manchester City. At Manchester City, he is doing the things that he's doing. He is doing absolutely everything right now, in the present. All of his best attributes are right now. Why are we judging him? Or why are you looking at him and saying he can't do it somewhere else? Because guess what? He isn't there. All right, maybe he could. Maybe he isn't at that sort of level. We've sort of seen that with Belgium. He isn't as good as he is with the Manchester City. But at the end of the day, where is he in the present? He's at Manchester City. Where is he doing all the bulk of his work? At Manchester City. Where is he a world-class player? A world-class technician, a world-class the creative output. It's all happening at Manchester City at present day. So screw the system. Who cares about the system? It all revolves around him at Manchester City. I mean, let's be honest. He really is Manchester City. And no matter how many world-class players are at Manchester City, at the end of the day, it's him. He is the system. So screw talking about a system player, because he is the bloody system. Kevin De Bruyne is the system at Manchester City. So we don't need to go on about being a system player. Where can he do it somewhere else? Because at the present day, and where he is, and where all his world-class output and talent is coming from, is at Manchester City. So screw being a system player. I don't care about that. You could put any player, if he is that good, where he is at the present day, who cares if he's a system player? All right? Who the hell cares? And another thing, Kevin De Bruyne is not a big game player. Are you kidding me? Kevin De Bruyne isn't a big game player. If you look throughout, the past 5 or 6 years, and you look at most of the big games that Manchester City had, barring the Champions League finals, where he's been injured, to be fair to him. He has been injured in those games, and maybe you could say, they're pretty serious injuries. He broke his orbital bone or whatever it was against Chelsea in that Champions League final, and then he tore his hamstring off the bone basically against Inter Milan. So barring those, if you look at the past 5 to 6 years, Kevin De Bruyne is a big game player. When the games come up, especially in the Premier League, when the games are there that Manchester City need to win against big, huge, colossal teams like a United, a Liverpool, or an Arsenal, he comes to play. He comes to town. Just last season, we saw it. Manchester City, they were behind Arsenal for the whole season. And the 2 pivotal games were when they faced Arsenal. And that would close the gap, allowing them to go for the title, allowing them to win 3 Premier Leagues in a row, allowing them to win a treble. And in those 2 games, he was absolutely incredible. The best player on the pitch for both games. He scored, he assisted, he did everything. All right. That's good enough for me. And against Real Madrid in the semi-final, all right, in the first leg, where Manchester City looked hopeless, and it really looked like they were the lesser team against the, shot down Real Madrid. And he showed up big time with that incredible goal outside of the box. And yes, there are moments in Kevin De Bruyne's career where you do look at him and sometimes say he wasn't quite at the level you want him to be. But more often than not, his good performances in those big games outweigh any of that. Because if you look in the past 5-6 years, or the time that Kevin De Bruyne has been there in big games for Manchester City, he shows up. Most of his output obviously is going to be against, the lesser teams. But when a game show up and he has to show up, he does do it. He bloody does do it. And to a very, very high level. All right? In big games, Kevin De Bruyne will always be there for Manchester City. So I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear him not being a big game player, because he absolutely is. All right? Just too good. Kevin De Bruyne is incredible. And I can't wait till he comes back into that Manchester City side. And hopefully, that injury doesn't affect him, because he's obviously lost a couple of yards of pace over the years. Hopefully it doesn't affect him to a great extent, and we still see the incredible Kevin De Bruyne. We still see a world-class Kevin De Bruyne playing for Manchester City. For Belgium, look, he has struggled for Belgium over the years. He doesn't have this defining moment for Belgium like Eden Hazard in 2018 in the World Cup. He had an incredible run in that World Cup, did Eden Hazard. Kevin De Bruyne, not really so. He doesn't have those big moments for Belgium, but who cares, as I said. Where is he doing it? He's doing it at Manchester City. Is he world class? Is he doing absolutely everything? Is he scoring? Is he assisting? Yes. All right. So screw all of that. Kevin De Bruyne is incredible. We need to start putting some, there's respect on his name. Obviously, everybody knows how good of a player Kevin De Bruyne is, but I'm saying let's put respect on his name in terms of all-time greats in the Premier League. Not just the Premier League, all-time midfielders. Let's start to put some more respect, and let's start to bring him into those sorts of conversations. In the pantheon of world football, Kevin De Bruyne rightfully has a place. And on the future, not when he's retired, and not when he's, old and broken down and we've seen all that is of Kevin De Bruyne. Let's do it now while he's still world class and incredible.